Hello everyone and welcome back. In this week's video, what I wanted to do is share with you the compilation of videos that I had taken originally for Instagram in the creation of this shallow aquarium. Now, this is a 60 centimeter long shallow ADA aquarium, and I set it up to be a Biotope inspired setup. But yeah, I wanted to share what I did to kind of get here. Please excuse some of the formatting. Remember, it was for Instagram originally. So when I started off, I made a barrier, and then I used red lava stones that I got in bulk for really cheap online, and used expanding foam to kind of stick everything together. Now, it was the first time that I've ever used expanding foam, and I have to say that I'm really happy to have tried it out and hope to use it again in the future as well.
Alright, so we've gone ahead and finished with the top layer of the lava rocks. I tried to fit them in the most natural way. I mean, it is kind of flat, unfortunately, but I think I'm going to try to give it more depth once I fill it out with wood and other plants and whatnot. But yeah, just going to have to finish letting it cure. But I'm really happy. Everything else is super sturdy, and I've got a deep planting bed here, which is going to be great for the plants that I have.
Now for this piece of wood, I only boiled the bottom half of it, and that's because most of it is just going to be exposed anyways. So I felt like I could just get away with boiling the bottom half that I knew was going to be underwater.
Alright, everything is in place. The sand is now in, and all the loose lava stones have also been added. Just no particular pattern right now, just playing with them a little bit. I'm going to start messing around with the wood hardscape and go from there. So the details are in, the soil is in. I'm just playing around with the hardscape now. But this is what we got so far. Not bad, not bad. Alright, so these are the two items I'm going to be using to add to the substrate layer that I have down here. So the sand essentially. So I need to go ahead and just prepare them.
Now, while these additives aren't necessarily essential, I did want to give the sand more of like a mixtured look, almost like if it was, if it did have a lot of sediments at the bottom. So I went ahead and mixed some of the Borneo substrate from Tannin Aquatics into it. And then later on, as you will see, I added the botanicals on top to kind of give it that final touch. So these are some of the botanicals that were going in there. Now, not all of them made it into the tank because this is a lot. Especially some of these larger leaves, which I just cut up into smaller pieces to kind of not lose a sense of scale that I wanted with this particular setup. They are going to release some tanning, so it's always good to boil them at the beginning anyways. This will reduce the amount of tannins that come out, but also make sure that there's nothing hiding in there that could hitchhike into your aquarium. I usually boil them for about 45 minutes, but you can do it longer, and of course follow the instructions depending on where you get them from. But I boiled them for 45 minutes, and then after they were done boiling, I let them sit for 1 to 2 hours until they were cool enough to handle. They let out a really great smell also. Now, I didn't use any particular method to put these leaves and botanicals in. I literally just grabbed a clump of them and just spread them around throughout the aquarium. I knew I wanted to at least spread them out enough so that most areas were covered, but in the end, once the water starts moving, it was all going to go where I wanted to anyway. So don't overthink this part, just chuck them in there. And as you can see, they look great no matter where they land. In fact, I love this natural leaf litter look, even in a heavily planted aquarium. Speaking of plants, it was time to add the plants in the immersed section. And I had these coal miner plants, which were actually part of my deck fund, and I forgot to winterize them. So I left them inside and realized that I could use them in this setup. Now, spoiler alert, they're not growing too well. The light's not strong enough for them, and I really don't think that the soil has enough nutrients for what they need. They're very heavy root feeders, but they're still alive, so I'm just going to keep them in this setup until spring comes, and then I'll take them out, put them back in my deck pond where they can grow beautifully once more, and then we'll put something else in here in the meantime. But I went ahead and also added some hair grass, and a host of other plants. I'll leave a list of them in the description for everyone to see. And I wasn't really sure how these were going to grow, but it was a long shot. Now, the cryptocorynes I also wanted to have in there, but I wanted them to grow immersed. Now, these are submerged, so I went ahead and cut off all the leaves and just planted the little stump with the root, and now they're growing just fine. I also went ahead and added some Christmas moss throughout because it just adds a good touch. So it was then time to fill up the aquarium, and this is actually a time lapse. In fact, this took me quite a long time to do, but as you can see, everything pretty much stayed submerged. Whatever was floating to the top is mostly due to surface tension, and then it just kind of sunk back down with time. And I just loved this look right here. I almost considered leaving it bare, but I knew I needed to add some plants. So I went ahead and grabbed my collection of epiphytic plants, Java fern, Anubias petite, Bucephalandra wavy green, and just put them throughout the aquarium, especially to hide any parts where you could see the expanding foam. I did have to weigh down a couple of pieces of wood, but overall everything just stayed in place and has been growing great. Well, that's it for this video. Thanks again for putting up with the formatting of it. And of course, please leave a comment below if you have any questions. And I hope that seeing something like this and how I set it up helps you want to create your own. As always, don't forget to give a like and a follow, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care.